politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and all the nooks and crannies that receive the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter into those magical boxes known as radios, the thing that Howard still loves. He loves to listen to those signals coming in. And also welcome, good morning to the entire world listening to us over the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by whom? We the people. I say that every day because I want folks to realize that the billions that are being made by a select few based on the internet is really deserving not of those billionaires, but of you, the real creator, the persons, the people, the citizens who paid for the internet, the citizens whose intellect created the internet. Let's start taking and accepting our real worth as opposed to what others say we are worth. But before we get started, folks, let's take it to the studio where we have all our experts, the guys that keeps this thing on air and working.
Tin cans and string. It was a bad night for tin cans and string last night. Let's see, about 8:25, I'm standing in my studio, and suddenly all the lights go out. So I get my battery-powered radio, and sure enough, no radio station either. I said, "Oh no, not again!" Because whenever it goes out, the electricity goes out at the transmitter, everything stops, and I have to go reset everything. And I thought, okay, I'll get out there into the transmitter, but no, it was raining, so I just decided to stay home, and only the FM is on now. The HD2 channels are awaiting to be restored. And they will be when I get out there this afternoon. So,
ouch, ouch, ouch. At least we have that is tough. At least we have the main signal on air right now. And what about the internet? Are they on the internet or what's going on?
They're streaming. We're streaming, so Tag can hear us. Tag is probably listening and going, "Oh well, didn't know there was a problem." Well, there was, but I fixed it. Now I got to fix something else here in the studio too in a few minutes. So it's just, it's just one of those things where
the folks that are listening right now. Wait. I want the folks that are listening now to realize one thing. Folks, we work on equipment that needs constant pampering. I mean, that is how efficient we are with your dollars. But in the process of doing that, Howard's works his butt off, as well as Jack. I mean, to keep all this stuff going under the meager budgets that we work under, folks, realize that you're spending on this station the frugality of what we do, folks. That's why we have earned your support. Go ahead, Howard.
Oh yes, it's donate for my sanity. Can find some better tin cans and string. We did upgrade to Campbell's soup cans. Now I'm looking at how well the signal will go with dental floss.
Well,
it's so funny. That is so funny. But anyway, Jack, what do you have for us? Let's see what you're going to do to us today. Let's see what you're going to do to Neil and I today.
I'm going to try to keep it in line. Your post this morning was talking about the vote as if your life depends on it.
It does.
Yeah, because it does. Anyway, the corporate world has power and influence over the government. The politicians, especially the neoliberal politicians, serve that corporate world over the people. The Supreme Court serves the corporate over the people. So, our corporations are draping themselves in the flag for legal protection as they maraud and subjugate the third world to their will, using war as a profit generating economic venture. This corporate entity and mentality that wants to rule your life and government constitutes fascism. Trump's mission is to sell the nation and its people out to the corporate fascists and become dictator. So hell yeah, vote as if your life depends on it because it does.
I thought he did already
You
sell
you
us out.
Yeah, you nailed it. Our life depends on it. You know what? Before I talk about what the show is about, let's bring Neil into the conversation. Neil Aquino from the Houston Democracy Project at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Buenos dias, mi hermano Neil. How are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing well. It's an excellent morning. Every morning is excellent, and I'm here, and all of everything we've talked about. Well, of course, we talked about the radio operations, and I don't know much about Marconi, but I can say that that our
Wait. Neil. The fact that you brought up Marconi, I it's amazing to me when somebody say, I don't know too much about Marconi. Damn it, guy. People the hell don't know who Marconi is in the first place, and you do.
that's I've been reading a history of New York City in the 20s, and so it's been talking a lot about the development of networks and television. Originally, the NBC that they thought they could do it without advertising. They thought that advertising was too vulgar for the radio. David Sarnoff, and then they quickly changed their mind. So everything is interesting. Everything is interesting. And as we talk about vote, of course, there's no advertising here as we talk about the frugality and the need to support the program. It's not a pledge week, but the frugality here is a theme consistently in the good work done on a small budget, and it should be supported. And our local officials are, as we talk about vote as if your life depends on it, and the forces that Trump is aligned. Remember that authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure. And so those six Houston City Council Republicans, those local Republicans who want to tell you, oh, I'm moderate, oh, we're just filling the potholes, until they tell you otherwise, that they're not supporting the fascism and the authoritarianism and the mass migrant raids and Ken Paxton knocking down the door of 87-year-olds, until they tell you otherwise, and I'm not aware of any local Republican who's told you otherwise, they are fully part of that local infrastructure of authoritarianism and fascism.
I'm glad you brought that up, Neil, because I tell you something that impressed me yesterday. Liz Cheney came out and supported Kamala Harris yesterday. Liz Cheney and Casson, what's his name? I don't remember his name. They were the only two Republicans that sat on the
Kinzinger.
Kinzinger, the only two Republicans that sat on the panel that actually went through January 6th. And let me tell you, first of all, I can't tell you. First of all, I disagree completely, entirely with most of the policies of Liz Cheney. I disagree almost entirely with most of the policies of Kinzinger. These are super conservative people, but I've learned to respect. I try to talk about keeping people together and all that sort of
Right.
stuff. Sincerely respected that they put country over party. They put country and for I don't know if people understand what it took for a super conservative like Liz Cheney to do what she did yesterday. That's not an easy task for somebody so involved in the conservative movement to do so. That is country over party, country over fascism. And I think the fact that she could do that, somebody more steeped in the party, and our six local Republicans that you're talking about on council, Neil. that they couldn't do that. And when you
And
talk about, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, let me say, and without trying to give them a pass, because they don't deserve a pass. There are also, you see these stories. I don't have one in front of me, but you see these stories about how Republicans who have deviated from the party line feel threatened. Right? We've seen with this Arlington National Cemetery story that the reason that woman who was allegedly assaulted by the Trump people, um, is afraid of the threats if she comes forward. So these people, um, they're probably, in some respect, I don't care, because they signed up for this stuff, and they've known for years that this was rotten. Um, they're probably afraid that they would be threatened, by their own side, if they we recently saw Representative Sean Theory recently flipped
Yeah,
parties, this week, and we wish her a hearty good riddance. But one thing that didn't happen, no one's threatening her, right? I mean, she flipped parties, and no one. I mean, there's like, she and Representative Theory is the representative who was making, anti-trans, speaking a lot about trans issues, and aligning herself with right wingers. She lost her primary to Lauren Ashley Simmons this past, runoff time in May, and she flipped parties. And I believe I saw her at a Moms for Liberty event, a few, in for a penny, in for a pound. But no, no one was threatening Sean Theory. No one was threatening Sean Theory. And these Republicans, apparently get plenty of threats from their own side. If they then they can remain Republicans. I'm not even asking. I'm not asking the six council Republicans or any elected Republican. You can be a Republican. Lynn Cheney remains a Republican. I'm not even asking, hey, flip parties. Just tell us you won't support the fascists. There's going to be there's 340 million people. There's going to be more than one political party, and there needs to be. But that's the ask, and it does require courage in the way that you're saying. It's hard to deviate. You're ostracized from your party. You're probably going to lose a primary, and in this environment, it seems you're going to be threatened too.
yeah, and it is important. Liz Cheney has my regards. Kinzinger, my regards, and many of these other people who finally decided to put party over, I mean, country over party. And I tell you what, if my party, the party that I more associate with, did what that party, the leader of that party did, I would do the same thing too. But look, Neil, before we get into it, I want to tell folks today's program is supposed to be, again, vote as if your life depends on it, right? Because your life depends on it. It's also, I want to point out something from Joyanne Reid, a piece that Joyanne Reid did yesterday. And I want to play this one earlier on before all our calls come in, etc. So I'm going to do that now. It's a 6-minute piece. Let's go there, and then we'll be right back to tag and talk about what we need to talk about, Neil. So let's do that
Great.
now. Here we go. Those who listen to me often know that I give the media, the mainstream media, a hard time. The reason I give them a hard time is that they're still practicing that old school journalism, he said, she said, and not be the true fourth estate, the one that's telling you that, well, he said this, but he's wrong. She said this, but she's right, or whatever. There is a right and a wrong for many issues. Yes, there are some with gray areas, but there's a right and a wrong. In this case here, Joyanne Reid did the perfect analysis of comparing economically what Kamala Harris is going to do versus what Donald Trump is going to do, what Donald Trump has done. And she gave it the proper perspective. This is what journalism is supposed to do. This is how one should cover Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. Make the people informed based on your objective statements, your objective observations. Check this out from Joyanne Reid, and then we'll take it on the other side.
just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. Now, it shouldn't be that way. But if you go back, I mean, it just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats.
It's true. Back in 2004, Donald Trump was right. The economy does do better under Democrats. And as Vice President Kamala Harris announces a major plan to boost small businesses, economists are saying that Trump's proposals, like, for instance, tariffs, would actually hurt Americans. Polls show the economy continues to be the top issue for many voters, including inflation and affordability. And yet there is only one candidate who is proposing policies that would actually help Americans, Vice President Kamala Harris. Here she is today in New Hampshire.
My vision of an opportunity economy is one where everyone can compete and have a real chance to succeed.
The VP was there to unveil a big tax break proposal for small businesses. $50,000 to be exact for startup businesses, which would be a huge boost from the existing $5,000 tax break. And counter to the online trolls and far-right commentators claiming she doesn't have any policies, this is just one of many that Harris has begun to roll out regarding the economy. There's the plan to provide $25,000 in down payment assistance to first-time home buyers, the plan to restore the expanded child tax credit and add a $6,000 tax credit for parents of newborns. On health care, she wants to expand the current monthly cap on out-of-pocket costs for insulin and expand the upcoming $2,000 annual limit on out-of-pocket costs for prescription drugs for Medicare enrollees to all Americans. She's also calling for a federal plan to ban price gouging to lower grocery prices and everyday costs. Now let's compare that to Donald Trump's plans. In addition to extending and increasing his 2017 massive tax cut for the super rich and big businesses, he has proposed deporting roughly 11 million undocumented immigrants, which would cause huge problems for the agriculture and construction sectors, resulting in higher food and housing costs for Americans. He's also proposed imposing a 10% tariff on all products imported to the U.S. and up to 60% on all Chinese goods, which would essentially be a tax on every single one of those goods, meaning higher costs for American families. And his go-to line for how he will somehow pull a rabbit out of a hat to make everything more affordable is drill, baby, drill, i.e., by bringing energy costs down, all costs will come down. Okay, the problem with that plan is that under the Biden-Harris administration, the United States is already producing more oil, not only than any other time in U.S. history, no, but more than any other country on the planet ever has, ever. You don't need to take it from me, y'all. Moody's Analytics found that Harris's plans would cut the deficit by nearly $3 trillion, while Trump's plans would add more than $2 trillion over the next 10 years. And according to Goldman Sachs, the U.S. economic growth would see a boost with a Harris win and would fall if Trump returned to office. Yet when you ask your average voter who they trust more on the economy, they somehow often say Trump. And they often say, well, it's because he's a businessman. Okay, well, look at his current businesses. In addition to his 6 previous bankruptcies, 6, his latest business endeavor, Trump Media, the social media company behind Truth Social, is headed in the direction of becoming unlucky number 7. That is because over the past 6 months, the stock price has dropped a whopping 70%, and it is continuing to drop. Now just think what it would be like if Trump was again in control of the entire nation's economy.
I could not have said it any better. I mean, when you compare what Donald Trump has done, what he's been, in fact, it's interesting because had Donald Trump taken the silver spoon that was given to him, the riches that was given to him, and just threw it in an index fund, guess what? He would have more money than he had trying to play businessman. As a businessman, to put it as nice as I can, he sucked. He had 6 bankruptcies, and guess what? Truth Central will be the 7th. Because again, Truth Central is making no money. It's a failure. And why is it a failure? Because Donald Trump is not a businessman. Donald Trump is a con man. And he was able to lose his fortune and make money simply by conning. And right now he's full of debt. But we'll see. Joyanne Reid did a great job in exactly how she needed to present Kamala Harris v. Trump in an objective manner based on simple facts.
We spend a lot of time.
Absolutely based on simple facts. Anyway, let's see. Neil, before we go to Tag, let's talk a little bit. And Tag, I'm coming to you, and Bart, I'm coming to you. But Neil has some important local information that we want to get to. First of all, Lee, tell me about Whitmire and some of the issues that you have with him and the labor movement.
So the excuse me, I lost my page. We had Labor Day. It was Labor Day this
Yes.
past week, and happy Labor Day to all. And we are strong union supporters here. I was thinking the Harris County Gulf Coast AFL-CIO strongly supported Mayor Whitmire in the past election, against the late Sheila Jackson Lee. They supported him so strongly that they came out with an early endorsement of him before Congresswoman Jackson Lee got into the race. And there was a story in the local Axios newsletter this past Friday, a week ago, about only 3.5% of local Houston area workers are in a union area, and that's depressing itself. And of course, Texas is an anti-labor state, and that's not necessarily the fault. But labor has stuck so religiously with Whitmire, and I was a little frustrated by it. And the most visible picture of that was the firefighters contract, um, which has caused Controller Hollins to say that it puts the financial condition of the city in jeopardy. And I just wanted to make the point, and maybe if you're in a labor union, you feel free to call and offer your thoughts about it. Mayor Whitmire doesn't want to work effectively with Judge Lena, and labor has strongly supported Lena. So they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Whitmire has almost $10 million in campaign funds in the bank. Not only is democracy on the line, but with Project 2025, it has specific anti-union clauses. Um, Labor could be holding Mayor Whitmire to account. Mayor Whitmire's proposed an ordinance, we've talked about it at length here, that would restrict the rights of Houstonians to protest at the homes of politicians. In fact, that ordinance will be back before Council's Law Committee this Tuesday morning at 10. You can go to the City of Houston lawsuit to look up the agenda of the Law Committee. As of about 9 o'clock last night, that wasn't on there. They're supposed to discuss it. I don't know what they'll do. Labor will call on people to take part in picket lines. Labor might need the ability to go to the home of a boss or an employer who's treating folks poorly. And Mayor Whitmire, the Texas AFL-CIO very early called for a ceasefire in Gaza. That protest ordinance is because Mayor Whitmire is frustrated with Gaza protesters going to his home. In fact, if you remember, Mayor Whitmire last 2 or 3 weeks ago said that those protesters were paid by Iran, but there was a story in the Chronicle yesterday saying that the city could not substantiate any claim that they were paid by. So it was a bunch of horse hockey. So
Now,
I want to,
question about that.
yeah.
Can they sue the mayor for lying about that and demeaning what they've done?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. We've established I'm not a radio engineer or a lawyer today, but they're public participants out there, and so you take the slings and arrows. But it's certainly it was a slander. It sure was a slander, and it was the oldest trick in the book. You're from your history of the civil rights movement. They're
Yeah.
outside agitators, or we know they say Mr. I've been accused. I mean, if Mr. Soros wants to write me a check, I'll take it. But as part of my John Cornyn protest, people will shout in front of John Cornyn's office. People will shout, what's Soros paying you, paid protester? And, you're like, sure, I wish, send me the check, show me the money. And so what I'm getting at here is, as I reflect over Labor Day, I wish that our local labor took a wider picture. I understand why they want the firefighters contract. There's a municipal employees contract coming. Next year, there's a police contract. Police are not part of the AFL-CIO, and police union, quote unquote, unions are just an amalgamation of police officers, as I heard someone wise say to me recently. And so I just wanted to put that out there. And if you're in a union, I'd ask you to press your local labor leadership to hold Mayor Whitmire accountable. And the last thing I'll say, Mayor Whitmire was asked at last week's council session by Councilwoman Abby Kamen. Uh, Abby said, Mayor, we're having the voter purge. 1 million voters were purged by Greg Abbott. We're having these raids. We've talked about here on last week, these raids in the Uvalde, San Antonio area of both Democratic candidates and rank and file people. And Abby's question to Mayor Whitmire was, what is the city doing to educate voters? And he didn't want to talk about it. He paused for 4 or 5 seconds. He said, well, we're going to have an election. He said elections are important. Basically, he said we'll hold Abbott and Paxton accountable at the ballot box. And of course, we know about that. And so it was very frustrating to me that Mayor Whitmire can talk on and on about these Palestinian protesters and doesn't want to talk about Republican attacks on democracy.
That
And
is
I would just,
shameful.
I'd ask our local labor, hold this guy accountable. I know there's the short-term gain, and we've talked about the firefighters here. They sometimes will support election deniers. Often they do not live in the city. As a matter of fact, the newest training course for our paramedics is going to be held out in Wharton. That was a debate in Wharton County. That was a debate in City Council. The city is issuing a contract with the Wharton Community College System for our paramedic training, not at HCC. HCC says they don't have the capacity at the moment for more. They do it, and not at Lone Star, which at least would be in the county. So we are sending all. Councilwoman Tiffany Thomas, was frustrated by it. We are sending all this money out there, and I feel like I've hit a hodgepodge of subjects because there's so much to be frustrated over with this. But at the core of it, I would ask our local labor or unions to hold this guy accountable. And just like we criticize a corporation for being short-sighted because all it cares about is short-term profits and not any larger community good, I would ask labor, our Texas Gulf Coast AFL Labor Federation, to not just focus on the short term of the firefighters contract or the municipal employees, but on the longer implications of democracy of continuing to support Whitmire without criticism.
Thank you, Neil. Let's go to Tag. Come on in, Tag.
Morning, Egberto. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Well, I hope people pay attention to the fact that there are not as many political, so as much political discourse and disinformation going forward, and it's due to the DOJ and the doppelganger thing, and I think there's going to be a big change in the way information is disseminated to a lot of people. And I know we don't pay that much attention to it, but we see a lot of it in other people's feeds. And, just the disinformation and the lies that were coming out, the political stuff, just reminded me of 2016 all over again. So I just wanted to hope to people will pay attention to that going forward here through the rest of the election, and getting rid of these influencers online from X and Instagram. That's where a lot of this stuff was coming from. So do you notice that, or you?
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, there are two things that I'd like to mention about that. There's one host on TV. I don't remember his name right now. That he said, "Look, in these times, our voters simply have to get smarter and understand that they are being misled quite often online, and that everything you read online isn't true. We just have to be smarter about it. And if we don't get smarter about it, our democracy is gone." That is very true. That is why I also do what I do, Tag. And that is to point that out to those who are willing to listen. We also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are those who are willfully ignorant. They know that what they're doing is wrong, and they use the false information to justify their wrongness. That part we can't help. There are some people that are willfully ignorant. They're just, hyper partisan, and they really don't care about the truth. They just want to be not, I don't want to say they want to be right. They want a justification for the ill being that they are. Secondly, there was one other item that I wanted to point out, and that is the DOJ is doing a fairly good job in not just the hodgepodge is one thing. What I like about what the DOJ did yesterday is they actually found the offending domains and they shut those offending domains down. We're not even talking free speech, all that stuff. It's just the offending domain that we're doing and misleading and corrupting our election. They simply pull them down. I think we need better laws. Free speech is one thing, but we do need better laws. Real quickly, Neil, because my
Oh,
phone's filling up.
I'll tell you, if I had not had the local focus, I would have led with all that. The arrest of Pavel Durov, the Telegram founder, a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Brazil, Twitter to account these things. This is super important stuff, and it is connected to Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk. This is, to me, that's really the international lead story, and I'm glad we're seeing this fight.
Absolutely. Okay, Tag, anything else before I jump to Bart?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the connection to the Christian right wing. Like they used to, that gal used to attend the prayer meetings in Washington until she got busted. And then also the influence they had on the NRA. And look at where the NRA is today. They've fallen right flat on their face without the support of Russia and all this disinformation. So I'm glad that Merrick Garland has finally stood up and taken the lead on getting this. Well, Obama tried to warn them back at the end of his thing, and they wouldn't do anything about it. But now
it's not only wait, Tag. It's
Mitt
not only
Romney.
that they didn't. It's not only that they didn't do something about it. They turned around. We all knew that the right was a clear and present danger to the country. Then Obama's DOJ said it, and they wrote a paper on it with the evidence, and the right wing went berserk, and Obama and those guys backed off. So I do blame the Obama DOJ for having backed off that allowed some of this to occur. Go ahead, Neil.
Mitt Romney, 12. He said it that Russia was the biggest enemy, and people laughed at him. But it seems he was right.
Yeah, he was. Anyway, thank you, Tag. Real quick, anything else before I jump to Bart?
You don't want to be a pawn to Russia. None of us want to be a pawn to Russia. Don't forget that going forward. So
Right.
thanks. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Bart, come on in. Brother Bart, you're on.
Good morning, sir. Yes, I'm glad you're talking about endorsements. You have a lot of listeners that were going to vote for RFK, and I haven't heard you report it, but RFK has endorsed President Trump. So I would be interested if your callers that were going to vote for RFK would call in and say if they're now going to vote for Trump.
Well, I tell you what, RFK, his endorsement shows that the worm is working successfully in his brain still. I mean, I would take a Liz Cheney endorsement over an RFK endorsement any day of the week. One is sensible, one is simply a fad. I mean, so I hear you, Bard, but I mean, having an RFK endorsement is not something that I think many are going to look at. Don't forget, this is a guy who it's not a serious guy, so that's fine. I mean, I think he fits the profile with Trump just fine.
There's another group, this weirdo that Kamala Harris has as her VP. Walls is his name, from Minnesota.
Oh, very smart guy, yeah.
His whole family came out yesterday and endorsed Trump.
Actually, that is not that's not true at all. That again, don't miss. Look, this is a program of truth, and that is absolutely not truth. In fact, there are several Jeff Walls going around the internet. Some of them not really his brother, that are actually doing this. I mean, I find it ironic that you guys allows yourselves to be snowed so often. I mean, yeah, there are some family members, families are split, but I find it ironic that you guys allow yourself to be snowed. But look, Bart, I'm not going to continue talking about this because, like I said, Trump is a clear and present danger. And when you see the amount of rank and file Republicans from John McCain's son, John McCain's wife, and many others that are saying the guy's a clear and present danger, these are established. Again, I don't agree with their policies, but they've decided to put country over party. When you decide to do that and start being fact based, give me a call again. But right now you're not, my dear brother. So you have a
Let
wonderful
me
rest
let me
of your
let me
day.
read one paragraph from the Associated Press.
Go ahead. Hold on. Go
A
ahead.
sister of Tim Walz says she doesn't recognize the people wearing Nebraska Walzers for Trump T-shirts in a photo making the round on social media. It turns out they are distant cousins. So they
All
just
right.
rustled these folks.
Yeah, Neil, you nail it. Like I said, there are people on the right who simply try to, they get snowed, they get fooled, right? They get fooled to vote against your own interests. They get fooled to do all these things. And it's what I call willful ignorance. I can't help the willfully ignorant. I can help the genuinely ignorant, but I cannot help the willfully ignorant. Thank you, Brother Bard. You have a great rest of your day. Let's go to Steve.
Hey, morning, Brother Egberto, Brother Neil.
Morning, brother. Talk to me.
Let's see, two things. I had one local question and then an 8-second poem if I have time.
Yeah.
Question for Neil: we live in a state that's all red, Texas. What are the odds of voting for to be senator all red and putting Ted on a permanent political cruise? That's the question.
I love that. Did you hear all the things that he did? All red. The state is all red. And the cruise, send Cruz to the cruise. That's a good one, Steve.
Let me quickly just address that. You know, there are two, and I'll give a little. There are two polls that recently came out. One was the Houston Hobby School, and I forget the other source that had all red within 2 percentage points of Cruz. So I'll quote Saint Augustine. You know, Lord, I want to believe, help thine unbelief. I wanna believe that that's true. And I encourage people. There has been local yesterday. The Houston LGBT political caucus chose not to endorse Alred. They're not endorsed. Obviously, they're not endorsing Cruz, but the Alred people asked for their endorsement, and their screening committee, and they do a good job screening, said that the Alred campaign had been disrespectful to the caucus and didn't really participate with their process. And there has been frustration among active Democrats with the All Red campaign that they don't have a ground presence. They would say, hey, we're within 2 points of winning. And I think a mistake that the All Red campaign has made, because I'm active in groups where with Democratic club presidents and various internet online threads and private threads, and I think the All Red campaign. I understand they want to run an ideological moderate campaign. I'm not critiquing that good or ill here, but I think they've conflated dealing with grassroots Democrats and grassroots organizers as inherently like some sort of progressive act outside the mainstream, outside of what they want to do with their party. And to me, that's just my own opinion. But at the caucus meeting yesterday, that was evidence of it.
Let me just say this, and I want to add this with this group. I think it is short-sighted on the group not to endorse, and let me tell you what I mean by that. All Red Run is running a terrible campaign towards, let's say, the progressive activists in Texas. It's horrendous. It just shows that he's a neophyte and that his people are terribly stupid. That's it. I hate to use that word, but that's the truth. That said, we are all adults and we understand the game that he has to play because he is scared of some sort of a stigmatization. What he should have done is have surrogates talk to all the progressive organizations and say, guys, give me some slack. All right? Let them know that they're not disrespected. But that said, I am willing to take disrespect, or I'm willing to look. I've had people call me all kinds of names, right? I am willing to
Right.
take it for the country. I am willing to do what Liz Cheney did. Liz Cheney should be
Right.
our template. She was willing to do what is blasphemy
Right.
for the country, and they should too.
Well, let me, and you use the word progressive. When I talk about the club presidents, they are not all progressive. That's no criticism, but they are ranked, they are ideologically all over the place. So he has not dealt with just that rank and file party leadership. With the caucus, there was a discussion, there was a very close vote of the membership there. I'm a fan of the caucus, and it was a very close matter. I was open to endorsing. I'm a member, and I was there. I was open to endorsing, but they do a great job with their screenings and their process. And I'll tell you, they were unusually in the meeting last night critical of a candidate. It was one of the more. So I get your view, and it's the reasonable view, and also the Alred people um, did seem to have
Oh no,
botched it.
I'm saying the Allred people definitely botched it, but this is not
Yeah.
about Allred. And that is where I said adults need to reign. And I would tell any
Mhm.
LGBT caucus the same thing. It's time for adults to reign. If we're talking about something that we claim is a clear and present danger, then we should act as if it is a clear and present danger. Be an adult. Let's go to, thank you. Steve, you give your 8-second poem. You have 8 seconds for it.
8-second poem. Thank you. So, in honor of Jack, here we go. Sir, can Trump poison us? Trump can, sir. That's it.
Very good.
All right, Steve. Thank you, my brother. I think the next person up maybe Jacob. Come on in, Jacob. Hey guys, I'm going to have to reduce the time in right now because I'm filling up. Go ahead, brother Jacob.
Yes, blessings in the AM. Now it doesn't matter what Walsh his family members endorse. It's possible that he do have family members that is voting for Trump. So, but that's irrelevant. I got family. We all got family members we don't agree with or don't agree with us. So that's not a big deal. But I want to ask you, as a legal person who came through immigration. Now, how many immigrants do you feel? Because I was looking at something when they saying China, they need that they got so many people, for the jobs and things of that nature, but America is short because they don't have they're going to have enough workforce to take on these jobs and things of that nature. What I don't understand is if the Democrats who saying that our population is so low and they're pushing abortion. What did they expect over the last? How many abortions have happened since 1980 when it was a big push for abortion, especially in my community? They put Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood targeted us, and you find that it was her plan. And then the last thing, with the immigrants coming in, how many you think should be allowed to come in? Just open up the borders, let them in, and where do you think they're gonna go and put them? They're not putting them in the white neighborhood.
Jacob, I hear you. Jacob, can I say something?
No. Where do you think they're gonna put them? Let me listen. Where do you think they're gonna put them?
All right, they don't put them anywhere. That's not how immigration works. Okay, I am an immigrant.
I'm
I
not
live
saying that. I say, where do you think they are gonna put them? They're gonna build housing for them. Where are they gonna go?
Sir, let me answer the question, my brother. Let me answer the question. There are two things I want to tell you firstly, okay? And I want to tell you this with respect. I do my research. I listen to what I'm saying, my dear friend. I do my research. I follow social media. I follow all kinds of medias, and I follow how information is displaced into the minds of people. Just listening to you right now, and I don't have the time to go through it in detail, brother, but I want to say this respectfully. I've heard out of your mouth right now some propaganda that is actually well
It's not
designed.
propaganda. I'm
Sir,
thinking
sir,
that.
no. Jacob, I made you speak. Could you please let me speak and finish my thought, sir?
Well, be
Please, my
honest, though.
brother.
Tell the truth, though. Don't you
Sir,
dare say
please,
something.
my brother, listen to what I'm saying,
Okay, okay,
please.
okay.
Within your wordiology, you have mentioned some very distinct propaganda that was placed out there that is abject. It's objectively wrong. I don't have the time to go through it today, but you're a daily caller, and I will talk to you about it. So I ask you this:
Can't answer
let's
that. But that ain't got
no,
nothing to do. That's what
sir,
observing all
sir.
these people where they're gonna put them. Ain't nobody saying
Listen,
that.
Jacob,
I'm
the
being
way you have a
awesome.
Jacob, the way you have a conversation is one person speak, the other one listen like I listened to you. I'm asking you to do the same
Can't
here.
tell me that
We're
they
not,
told me this.
sir,
That's for
sir,
propaganda.
sir. Again, you have to
Okay,
listen. You
okay,
have
sir.
to.
You can't
Thank you.
answer that, bro. I'm
Sir,
gonna let you.
I can answer every single question that you've asked, but I don't have the time to go into every detail on this call because of the amount of other calls that I got. Okay? So what I'm telling you is simple. There is some misinformation that is very well designed that you've just mentioned. And I would like to address it with you. And I actually want to address it because you are going to give me the opportunity for us to I don't want to be presumptuous and say educate, but enlighten with what I know have been done to many in the black community and otherwise to put this sort of dissension on immigrants, etc. It simply isn't truth. It's a manipulation of the minds of many. We'll go. I hope you keep calling every day as you do, and we'll go through those things appropriately. Let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning. Was that just Jacob?
Yeah.
Proud of his name. He's called in about reparations, which I agree with. I think that what he wants to do is kind of out of order. But if people do end up moving into your neighborhood, go shake their hand and ask them what you can do for them. Tell them thank you to be here. Open up a relationship, and the folks that you do end up around strengthens your numbers. You're going to have the same goals that they do. Nobody's going to get put in your neighborhood, but if somebody ends up in your neighborhood, meet them, talk to them. But that's not why I'm calling. I wanted to ask Egberto, did you ever expect to vote off of Dick Cheney and George Bush Jr.'s recommendation?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you. Let me explain that. Okay. No, not at all.
But they're endorsing Kamala. They endorsed her before Cheney.
Yes. And let me explain.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me explain. Okay. I, as an individual over time, have seen Donald Trump as a clear and present danger. I know that you're an RFK supporter, right? And I can understand.
No, please don't. That Bart started.
Oh,
that.
okay. Sorry. Okay, I thought I was taking your stuff incorrectly. But yeah, no, I would never have thought that I could that somebody that Cheney and supported would be the same person I support, and that is what earned me or gave me a respect for Liz Cheney, not because of her support for Kamala. It actually started with when she appeared on the panel and the questioning that she did on the panel against the insurrection. So that is where I started to say, wow, Liz Cheney is actually putting country over party. And then when it came to selecting the least worst option, meaning, let's say, Trump over Kamala for her, least best option for her, then I had to say, my God, the woman is really putting country over party. Go ahead, Patrick.
My point is that there's a coalition of Republicans that are supporting Harris. They're against Trump. I never thought I'd see that in my life, and I don't think that this has happened before in my life.
I don't think so.
And what that means is, if you're still holding on to Trump, you're holding on to a choice that was so terrible that a number of Republicans now, I think that there's 40 sitting Republicans right now, they're endorsing the competition. How bad do you have to be at your job for that to happen? And people are still saying that we're delusional. I mean, how many more people have to come out and point out that he is not just bad at his job, he's a danger?
Oh, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Hey, Patrick, I want to apologize. For some reason, I'm always tagging you as a RFK supporter. You're my coffee guy. Come on. What am I saying here? Come on, man. Forgive me. I
Yeah,
keep
well,
making that
I said I
mistake.
did like it. Yeah, no, you're good. I did like his environmental policies
Yeah,
20 years ago, 5 years ago.
right.
Um, things have happened to him, and I feel bad for him.
I know. I mean, the worm did it, man. The worm. I'm kidding, but it seems like the worm. I don't know about if the how true the worm is. Hey, Patrick, I got to go to Jeff and Brian, and I don't have a lot of time. So look,
Sure.
thank you, brother. Have a good one. Let's go to
Have a good
Jeff.
day.
Come on in, Jeff.
Hello, Egberto. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Well, I've got a couple questions. First, Jacob, I agree with him on the immigration, but I'm going to give some words of advice for Jacob. Let you talk too. Don't override you. That just defeats your whole argument right there. So, Jacob, take that to heart. I agree with you, but let Egberto and, be civil about it. My other thing is Kamala. She's been in there 4 years, and now she's on the campaign trail, stomping for stuff that she controlled for 4 years. There's something wrong with that. She's making
Let me
all
stop
these
you right.
promises in an
Let me ask you to
hour.
stop. Let me ask you to stop. Let me ask you to stop, and let me tell you why I asked you to stop. We can't speak out of two sides of our mouth. We can't say that the vice president is just the vice president that doesn't have any, that doesn't control policy at one spot, and then later on say, well, she was in the White House for 4 years controlling policy. That's just not the case. All right. So I mean, we have to be consistent here. And most people when we spoke about her having experience as a vice president, people say, well, she was just the vice president, didn't matter. Now that she's running, you want it to matter. Go ahead, Jeff.
You say consistency. She's flip-flop on a bunch of issues. I mean, that's not
Yeah,
consistency.
you're correct. By the way, you're correct. She's flip flopped on Medicare for all, and she's flip flopped on fracking. What did Trump flip flop on?
He's probably flipped on stuff too, but I'm going to
No,
take the
but
lesson.
no, on major stuff. He flip flopped on abortion. He flip flopped on who makes the economy better. Notice what I played earlier. Donald Trump says that economy is better under Democrats. That's true, factually true. But again, now he says his policies would be better. Hey, Jeff, I got to give Brian some time. So give me 20
Okay.
seconds and then you go.
Hello, Brian. But think about this. I mean, this is food for thought for you. She was named the border czar, and it's terrible, the border right now.
All right,
And
the
she has
border is
done-
actually nope. Let's get truth out. We got to get the truth out. There are less people coming over the border now than when Trump left office. That's a statement of fact. Again, we have to keep fact
I'm going to
away.
look
I mean,
that
we.
back up.
You can go look it up. Look it up right now. Go look it up and call me back tomorrow. Let's go to Brian. Thank you, brother Jeff. Let's go to brother Brian. Come on, brother.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for listening. Okay, how many jobs were created last month? 7.6 million.
How many?
Yeah, 7.6 million. How many was projected? 8 million. Okay.
Jobs?
That's a down.
Jobs?
You
Jobs?
mean last year?
How many jobs?
No, you're talking
How
for
many
a
jobs
year.
were created?
Only 200,000 jobs were created. I mean, under 200,000 jobs were created in that last month.
Yeah. Yeah. Biden said he created how many jobs? 16 million.
Yeah.
Okay. That is wrong. It's totally
Okay.
wrong.
Okay,
It's
here's the
totally
deal.
wrong.
Let's get the number. Go ahead.
Please
I'm
cut
sorry.
me off again.
No, my
I'm gonna
bad.
go
Go.
back to Jacob. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Jacob. He's correct. Where are they going to put these people? How about the 7400 block of Alabanson? I live near there. Okay, 2 years ago it was 85% blacks. Now it's 85% Hispanic illegal aliens. That's where they're going to put them. They're not going to put them. They don't want to put them. Yeah, they don't want to put them in Martha's Vineyard. Of course not. How many houses have been taken up by illegal aliens? If you have 10 million illegal aliens here, where are you going to put them? I agree with you what you said.
Okay, that's fine. You know, I mean that is fine. Listen, it is fine for you to think how you want to think. Okay, it doesn't make you right, but you can think what you think. The right wing has really polluted the minds of many, but that is okay, Brad. I don't have the time to finish this conversation because I got to give Neil a closer and the studio a closer. But thank you so kindly for calling. As usual, you know you have a place here. So thank you, Brian, and you have a great rest of your day. Okay.
Democrats have the propaganda.
All right, let's go. Neil, give me a closer real quick. You got 20 seconds.
Great. Don't forget the local stuff. Authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure. Every local elected could be like Liz Cheney and say they don't want it. And my content is at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Please visit the blog.
Actually, please go to the blog. Let's make sure. And it's not only local, it covers a lot of subjects. HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Let's go ahead and go to our studios geniuses.
Well, this afternoon, Egberto, at 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we're going to have the listener candidates for the local station board debate. So that should be very interesting. Each one of them, how they view KPFT and what they would like to do or see for KPFT. So that's 1 to 3 this afternoon here on KPFT, all live. And it's a call-in portion too. So you can find out you can question them and say, well, what do you want to do with KPFT? And perhaps they'll give you an answer. Jack, what you got?
Everybody out there, there's only about 30 more days to get registered to vote. Get your documents together, get registered, and vote these bums out.
Vote them out.
Thank you so kindly for that. Let's say Neil wanted to say something. Neil,
and check your registration. Check your registration. They've purged it. Check your registration now, today. And
Neil, how do they do that? Neil, how do they do that? Neil, tell them how they do it.
You can go. Oh, it's Harris Vote. Oh boy, I should know it right.
No, you're right. It's harrisvotes.com. Go to
harrisvotes.com. Check it out. Do it today.
Yeah. Look, folks, I checked to vote myself, my daughter, my wife to make sure we were still voting. Don't listen. Voter suppression is real, but it can be overcome if you do that extra step. Overcome it, make your voice heard. For the things that we did cover, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all of my callers. You too, Jacob. You too, Brian. You guys are a part of the family. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. In a last-ditch effort to purge voters in the swing state of North Carolina,